Hey, what's up everybody? Prime22 here, bringing you another episode of Transformers Lore. This episode will be continuing the story from last time, so if you haven't watched The Coming Storm, now would be the time to do so. So, let's continue on. Universe, Primex 509.28 Epsilon. Date, approximately 9 million years ago. At the dawn of the Third Cybertronian War, the friends Orion Pax, Ariel, and Dion were co-workers and were very close. This changed when Megatron launched an attack on their facility, fatally wounding the three. Pax, Ariel, and Dion were revived by Alpha Trion. Dion was restored and recruited into the Elite Guard, where he became close friends with them while fighting back the Decepticon menace. Ariel became Elita 1 and joined the Autobot war effort as well. Orion Pax was outfitted with the Matrix of Leadership and became Optimus Prime. Megatron, meanwhile, continued his rampage on Cybertron, converting many Autobots into Decepticons with a device known as the Robo-Smasher. Moving on to today, the Elite Guard has almost entirely been wiped out by the new Decepticon combiner Bruticus. Deathsaurus' loyal lieutenant Starscream reports the victory to Deathsaurus, and he is pleased. He orders Starscream to tell Lysak to prepare their doctors to repair the Combaticons. When Starscream tells her this, he teases her for being so timid. However, she is actually a skilled warrior herself and holding back on her more dangerous personality. The Autobot High Council holds an emergency session on what to do after the annihilation of the Elite Guard. Magnum leads the surviving members to the council building, including the rebuilt Dion and Flag, who has been an Elite Guard member this entire time, and I've completely forgot to mention him so far. Magnum intends on showing the Council that the Elite Guard still survives, but when he shows up, he is too late. The Autobot High Council has approved of the creation of a new Autobot military, led by the newly born Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime's ranks include the likes of Prowl, Ironhide, and Sideburn. Prime's unit is assigned the task of opposing Megatron, while the Elite Guard deploy to take on Deathsaurus. Magnum replenishes the Elite Guard ranks with his assistants Outback, Ricochet, and Moonracer. At Deathsaurus' base, the Combaticons are treated by doctors, but the Combaticons learn that the Decepticons can control their bodies remotely. They are horrified by this revelation. At this time, Deathsaurus' Decepticons are planning an attack on the High Council, when Starscream reports that there are Elite Guard survivors. Deathsaurus decides to eliminate the last of the Autobot forces. The Elite Guard run into Sideburn on their deployment, but just then they are attacked by Deathsaurus' forces in a major battle, where Ricochet dies. The Combaticons try to combine, but are stopped by the arriving Iron Fist and a handful of other Elite Guard survivors. The Decepticons are wounded and escape. The Combaticons hesitate to follow Deathsaurus' retreat order, and are captured by the Autobots in their moment of hesitation. However, the Combaticons do eventually escape. When Deathsaurus' forces return to base, Deathsaurus finds Megatron sitting in his throne. Megatron has decided that now is the time to put his house in order and take back full leadership of the Decepticons. He holds a gladiator match between him and Deathsaurus. During the battle, Megatron proclaims that once he wins, he will take command of Deathsaurus' forces. The disloyal Combaticons will be imprisoned along with any member of Deathsaurus' forces who refuse to recognize his leadership. Deathsaurus remarks that he will not have enough room to incarcerate his men, as too many of them are loyal and will not bow to Megatron. Megatron replies that in that case, he'll only store their personality components and destroy their bodies. Megatron is successful and puts down Deathsaurus. Taking command of the unit, Megatron has Soundwave take what new technology Deathsaurus had developed. He meets Starscream and assigns him the duty of helping Soundwave. Starscream complies but is furious. Starscream was loyal to his commander, Deathsaurus, and feels that, on the death of Deathsaurus, he is the rightful leader of the Decepticons and Megatron is merely a pretender. He secretly schemes that, one day, he will avenge Deathsaurus and restore the Deathsaurus line of leadership by overthrowing Megatron and becoming leader himself. However, Deathsaurus isn't entirely dead and Lysak comes to his side. He declares that the two of them will leave Cybertron in banishment. Megatron has the Constructicons equipped with the combiner technology Deathsaurus has due to their loyalty. In Iacon, Magnum apologizes to Optimus Prime for imagining a competition between their units, and Optimus expresses that he'd like them to work together, when Megatron launches an attack on the city, with the support of his newest combiner, Devastator. A huge battle breaks out in Iacon in which Megatron takes a shot at Prime. Magnum jumps in the way, and Prime calls out Magnum's name in horror as Magnum is wounded. Megatron fires again. This time Dion jumps in the way, and Prime calls out Dion's name in horror as Dion is wounded. Way to move out of the way, Prime. The Autobots eventually push the Decepticons back. After the battle, Alpha Trion tries to fix Magnum and Dion, but he tells Prime that he can only rebuild one of them, and that the other is too far gone. Ultra Magnus is created with new memories. Ultra Magnus is either the rebuilt Magnum, or a rebuilt Dion made in the image of Magnum out of respect for his fallen officer. We'll never know. As the war continues over millions of years, things change on Cybertron. Autobots who are not battle-hardened flee the planet, and the elite guardsman Landshark leads a crew away from Cybertron to settle on a planet called Paradron, taking the name from a piece of old literature meaning peace. As energy begins to die out on the planet, the Autobot Countdown begins to promote the Micromaster process to reserve energy, while Optimus Prime eventually leads forces from the Autobot military into space on the ship called the Ark, in search of energy. Alpha Trion creates stasis hibernation pods to hide the Autobots' energy signatures from the Decepticons, and programs them to activate when Cybertron receives new energy. Autobots like Perceptor, Inferno, Elita 1, Moonracer, and the like enter the pods, while Cup and the other surviving Elite Guardsmen remain on watch. Alpha Trion warns them that the lack of energy on Cybertron will accelerate their aging process. And that's going to wrap up today's episode and the two-parter in the Wings universe. I hope you've enjoyed. Transformers Lore will try to be weekly on the series from this point forward, and along with other stuff, since I'm bringing in more of the second channel into the main channel. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on social media for updates, subscribe if you like, and have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.